Hey, hold on. Hold. Bag up. Bag up, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry. Oh, Lord, Jesus.
Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer up.
Sooner, Terry.
And we are coming at you from the hell-ridden, riddled, pounded podcast.
Because those are two different things.
Podcast Palace in Norman, Oklahoma.
Where we are not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma.
But we do have eligibility left.
That's right.
And coming up on the podcast, we will have Jason Young, known to those of us who are close friends with him.
His close buddies.
Yeah, only certain people can call him JY.
That's right.
Formerly of the Brainiacs and formerly of trenchwarfare.com. You won't hear anybody give commentary on offensive and defensive line like this man does.
That's right.
So we're going to tap into his expertise here coming up.
So, I mean, we're going to talk about the O-line and defensive line, Terry?
I think so.
Okay.
One or two of them at least.
It'd surprise us if he started talking girls softball, wouldn't it?
Well,
He might.
he might. And let's get some of the old housekeeping stuff out of the way. The band that you hear on our intro is Fever Tree. You can check out their music on Spotify. You can find them on YouTube and on Facebook. Fever Tree Band out of Memphis. My buddy Mike Bertaldo is the lead guitarist and big Sooner fan. And so make sure to listen to them. We're going to be working with the OU Club of Atlanta. You can check them out on Twitter and on Facebook. Find out, you don't have to live in Atlanta or Georgia to be a part of to help out an OU club.
That's right.
They're always looking for things to do. So if you want to help them out in any way, you can check them out on Twitter, Facebook. We're going to do some stuff with them.
And they're going to take us to the Masters.
Yes, they are. They don't know it yet.
They don't know it yet, do they, Terry?
They don't know it yet, but they're taking us to the Masters.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we're coming down to Atlanta, and we're going to go down
and
Magnolia Lane.
Also our old buddy Dan Donnelly, the what do we call him?
Tailgate Ninja.
Who travels all over the world, all over the country, doing tailgates, attending tailgates. He didn't get to this year, so I'm sure he's jonesing for some tailgates.
Suck it, Dan.
Yeah. So we, tailgateconnect.com is their website, and you can find out where the best tailgates to attend. People will invite you in and treat you as
he's coming
family.
Down, right, for Nebraska.
Yeah.
So
and
we'll
he's
see him
hitting
there.
us up. Hey, I'm needing about 13 tickets. Well, want in one hand and the other hand, Dan.
What? No, I heard some tickets for sale right behind mine.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Well,
get in touch with me, Dan. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, get in touch with Rob.
I want to say there's like 8.
Apparently, Rob is going to become the Godfather Mafia of Sooner tickets this year.
Listen, Terry. That was way bad. That was horrible. I'm going to have to practice that.
Sound like you were dying.
Right? So does the Godfather, though, right? It's like, dude, cough or something. Get that up out of your throat.
So let's hold on, Rob. We have the Golf Channel on, but watch this.
Oh, I've been sitting here 20 minutes, Terry, and you don't have the OU baseball game on because you know I've been listening to it.
It's not on.
Oh.
It's not on, but
I thought he was getting ready to put OU baseball on for me because it's tied up, guys, in the bottom of the 8th.
Look, we have live football.
Oh.
This is, what is it, the FBC football, FCS football championship.
James Madison in North Dakota.
Yeah. I don't know. I was watching the North Dakota State Sam Houston game earlier.
Quick update, Terry. Bases loaded, but we do have 2 outs.
Oh.
So
Sooner baseball
we're
update.
going to sweep the Pokies.
Oh, it feels good, doesn't it? It's the first time we beat them in the series since 2010, I heard.
Something like that.
It's ridiculous. Stupid. But right now, North Dakota and James Madison, North Dakota is getting it handed to them 27-14. North Dakota has some pretty good FCS teams.
Well, they lost their coach to Kansas State, right?
North Dakota State did.
Oh, okay.
So you got North Dakota and North Dakota State. Who would go to North Dakota for anything? It's freaking cold there.
It snows like 200 inches a day or
Now,
something.
North Dakota State has, a dome. They have a indoor field.
Well, it's because it's like hell up there, except it's cold.
It's the opposite version of hell.
Yeah, the antithesis.
The what?
Antithesis.
Man, that's a big word there, Rob.
Well, I pulled out a dictionary in there, Terry. So
Antithesis. Give us a definition.
the
Spell
opposite.
it. Spell it.
Antithesis.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about the draft. Oklahoma had 2, 4, and we're going to talk some draft with JY.
Went a little low, didn't they?
We had 5 players in the draft: Creed Humphreys, Ronnie Perkins, Ramondre Stevenson, Trey Brown, and Trey Norwood.
Mm-hmm.
Creed Humphreys went to the Chiefs. JY is awful happy. I will be cussing him out shortly.
He's going to be playing with
Orlando.
Yeah, Zeus.
And they
Not Orlando.
Is it not
What's his
Orlando
name?
Brown?
Dadgummit. It's not Orlando.
It's not.
No, what was his name?
Oh, good. Do you want to text Lisa?
Oh no, we'll come up with it.
You sure it's not Orlando?
Well, I know his nickname is Zeus.
Zeus.
Yeah, Orlando Brown was years ago.
Was he?
Yeah, this is well, it's right on the tip of my tongue, Lisa. Dadgummit.
People can be shouting at us right now.
That's all right. They know who we're talking about, though, don't they? Remember in his draft pre-qualifier that he only benched.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of gigging on him there because he
couldn't do any reps.
Yeah, he did like 7 or something, which
Yeah.
it's 225 pounds, folks. Of course, when you're 6'8", 320, you probably ought to be able to put it up a couple more times than that. But he seems to be a pretty good little pick for the Chiefs now, don't he?
Yep.
And they're moving him over to the left tackle, right? Because he was playing right tackle, and now he's at the left tackle spot. So he's going to get the big money, and then Creed's going to be playing guard right next to him. How sweet is that, Sooner fans?
Trey Smith. Wasn't Trey Smith, was it?
No.
Because he's asking.
Am I going to have to text Sooner Lisa?
I think you're going to have to text.
All right.
Sooner Lisa. I'm this makes me angry when I can't think of people's names. Because one thing the guy told him, Chiefs Kingdom.
All right. She'll get this now.
Yeah, hurry up, Lisa. Text us back. Come on. What are you waiting on?
Oh my, she is so
slow. I swear. All
right, so we'll get his name here in just a second. But
yeah, did you see the picture though of Creed in his Crocs? Apparently, he's got to deal with
Crocs. He's got his own line of Crocs out, does he?
Yeah.
And I ain't hating on him.
Yeah, but let's see here. Let me go back here to the draft information. Let's see. Ronnie Perkins went to the freaking Patriots. We had 2 go to the Patriots. Stevenson and God, that's horrible.
That's a couple of pretty good gets for them, I think.
I can't believe Perkins drifted down to the 3rd round.
Yeah, he went a little further down than I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to be an early 2nd rounder, but
Creed, there was talk he might have creeped in, but this draft was so full of quarterbacks and skill players. Trey Brown went to the Seahawks, and Trey Norwood went to my Steelers.
Listen, she just replied funny. That is not what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh, Lisa.
Let's see. Well,
I'm just going to reply name question mark.
Please, pretty please.
That means she can't think of it.
Yeah, that's it. She doesn't know it. That's the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to find here because they said that the guy, I could have swore it was Orlando Brown. God, we're stupid. We're so stupid.
Well, when it comes to us, we will be smart.
Yeah.
And, it's coming. I know it is because it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, sorry guys for let's.
Hey, Sooner baseball takes the lead, 6-5.
Oh, must have
That's
got a
right.
base hit.
Yep.
So it was Orlando Brown.
Is it?
Yes, it's Orlando Brown. I was
Okay.
right all
Oh,
along.
way to go, Terry.
God, Rob. See,
Orlando. Why did
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, it is because he went last year, right?
Orlando Brown told the
No,
Chiefs
2 years ago.
Orlando Brown told the Chiefs to pick Creed Humphreys. That was the big word around.
Ah, well, smart.
Yep.
I think they got a steal. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started. The Steelers passed on him.
Well, I think also that Ramondre's going to be in. He could be a perennial All-Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's that good.
And I guess Adrian Ely, he signed as a free agent. I don't think he was drafted.
Yeah,
Um,
he'll probably make a squad somewhere.
yeah.
He's pretty solid. Well, but JY will probably tell us that.
Yeah.
all that.
Tell us what's going to go on. But yeah, my Steelers passed. There was a lot of people, I guess, had knee-jerk reactions to the Sooners dropping so far. Maybe they weren't as talented. Did they come out too soon? Blah, 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 blah. What do you think?
Well, I think definitely Ely probably could have stayed another year and helped his draft stock for sure. But
Yeah.
Creed wasn't going to. Well, I don't know. I was going to say Creed probably wouldn't have went any higher, but really, I think he kind of went low.
Yeah, again, it's because it was so top heavy with quarterbacks
It was.
and skilled players. Maybe if he'd have waited another year, but I mean, again, a second round offensive lineman pick. I mean, for crying out loud, bonus money is all you're talking about now. Draft bonus.
Well, I mean,
money.
he's going to be a rich young man, no doubt about that.
yeah,
But I mean, if he'd have waited a year, could he have gotten a little bit more? Maybe.
yeah,
But not a ton more. What do you think?
yeah. Perkins. I think Perkins should have stayed another year simply because he missed games this year due to
Yeah.
the suspension. It probably would have helped his stock.
Well, definitely, if he'd have came in and had a monster year,
Yeah.
he would have went up.
And
but,
of course, we're being greedy. I
I mean, there's a lot of competition here now, so he
Yeah.
might not have done as well, right?
yeah. So, let's see. I'm flipping back over to my.
And what about Trey Norwood? You think he's going to make a squad?
Hey, Steelers drafted him 7th round.
Well, I know, but that don't mean he's going to make the
Well,
squad.
no, I mean, Mike Tomlin said, because he's the one who announced the pick, called him the Swiss Army knife all around player. So they're going to use him as an athlete.
Oh, okay.
They're going to. He's probably not going to start. He's going to be a specialty player. Probably drop in nickel packages and things like that. The stuff. He's undersized, but I mean,
Hey,
come
it's
on.
7-5 Sooners.
Yep,
We're going to sweep them.
we're going to sweep the Cowboys. Poor people in orange. I feel
Yeah.
sorry for them.
That ought to be punishment enough, but
Yeah.
we got to sweep them. No wonder they hate us, Terry.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I don't. I think Norwood's probably, like I said, he's going to make the squad. He was picked in the 7th round, 245th overall pick. 245 people in the draft. Golly,
Yeah,
is that
that's a
too
lot.
many? Do you think? But Trey Brown, 4th round. Ramondre, 4th round. Perkins, 3rd round. So, we didn't have a lot going out. I mean, we had guys that did come back, for the extra year. So, I mean, I don't hold much. Well, I guess you can. You can sit here, it's a recruiting tool. Look at how many people we're putting in. The Big 12, I mean, Oklahoma, as we know, glad we have strong backs in Oklahoma because we're carrying the Big 12 all the way across the
Yeah,
board.
definitely. I have been for
Yeah.
ever.
Let's see. Since the drafts, Oklahoma has consistently produced next level talent. At least one Sooner has been taken in 84 out of the 86 NFL drafts.
Huh.
Since 2000, a total of 104 Sooners have been selected, 28 more than the next closest Big 12 program.
Wow.
28 more.
Oh, thanks for pulling your weight there, Texas.
Yeah, Texas
and,
has had 76
mhm.
and 50 more than the second closest, TCU 54.
Well, no wonder we're spanking them. I mean, get some talent in there. Good.
Yeah.
grief.
Let's see. First round. Dang, man, Oklahoma's had a bunch of first rounds here in the 2000s. Holy cow. Stalker McDougal, Roy Williams.
Yeah, I remember Stalker.
Andre Woolfolk, Tommy Harris, Mark Clayton, Jamal Brown, Davin Joseph. Adrian Peterson went in the first round. Jermaine Gresham.
Should have went with a Heisman Trophy in the first round, but that's just me.
Well, it's because USC cheated.
Right.
Trent
Bunch of
Williams,
cheaters.
Gerald McCoy, Sam Bradford, Lane Johnson, Baker Mayfield, Marquise Brown, Kyler Murray, Kenneth Murray, C.D. Lamb.
Huh. And out of those, how many were number one picks?
1, 2, 3. 3.
3.
Yeah.
It's a good trivia question.
Yeah. Who are they?
Kyler, Baker, Adrian.
Nope.
Nope. Who was the first round pick or first pick of the
Yeah.
draft? I'll think on it and get back to you.
He signed the biggest contract in NFL history, rookie contract.
Was it
Had no blocking his whole pro career.
Bradford?
Yep.
Yep.
Gerald McCoy was the third. Trent Williams was the fourth pick. Yeah, Trent Williams, I mean, to be as good as he was, of course, he broke his leg in that spiral fracture thing.
Listen, I'm going to tell you. He was the best offensive lineman in the NFL for several years there.
Trent?
Trent Williams.
No.
Definitely.
I was thinking Trent Williams. That wasn't the tight end, was it? Yeah.
No. Offensive line played at Washington.
Yeah. Stalker McDougal had the best name of any of the group.
Do you remember him?
Yeah.
It's like tree stumps for legs. That was a big dude.
Yeah. We only had one first round pick in the 90s.
And it wasn't Rhett Bomar.
No, Cedric Jones.
Defensive end, Cedric Jones.
Let's see.
Man, he was a good player.
In the 80s, Ricky Dixon, Keith Jackson, Tony Casillas, Steve Sewell. Man, I hadn't thought of Steve Sewell in a long time. Rick Bryan, Jackie Shipp,
Ricky Bryan.
David Overstreet, Keith Gary, Billy Sims, George Cumby. And then, of course, in 78, Elvis Peacock was a first-round pick. Leroy Selman was a first-round pick. Joe Washington was a first-round. Golly.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive history for the Sooners. That's why we're big Sooner fans, obviously, Terry.
Yeah, and it's why kids want to come here. They get, especially old linemen. And again, with talking with JY, Oklahoma is quickly becoming known as Offensive Line U and QBU.
Right.
But is the defense going to be catching up with the offense?
And may have surpassed it.
Yeah.
That would be cool, Terry, don't you think?
Yeah. More products.
Is it good enough to cover any laps in the offense if we have any?
For the love of God, I hope so.
God, it'd be horrible if we swapped one problem for another. We can shut everybody down, but we can't move the ball. Right?
What the heck is that guy doing?
I don't know, but that was
and the other
fun.
guy is, I guess they made him jump off sides. Okay, hold on. This is why we don't like soccer.
And I'm gonna tell you what.
Read the bottom of the screen there. Those two teams, Rob.
Juventus and Udinese.
Nailed
it.
Are those even places? I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, we don't like soccer.
No, we don't like soccer. Why are we even talking about soccer?
Well, because those two teams. What the? And then there's James
that was
Madison.
pretty cool.
No, it's just those two team names come up, and I was like, this is why I don't like soccer, because I can't pronounce the names.
Barcelona and Valencia.
Valencia.
I think those are places. Pretty sure Barcelona is anyway. It might be in Italy, but I'm just guessing here, folks.
All right, well let's get JY on here and talk a little bit of trench warfare.
Let's do it.
All right, Sooner fans on the phone with us. Formerly of the Football Brainiacs and formerly of the best film breakdown for offensive and defensive line trench warfare, we have Jason Young, known as JY to his close friends like me and Rob. Boomer JY.
Boomer.
How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good.
Let me rephrase that. How's it going, butthole? Butthead. Jerk.
That's
I've
nice.
had okay. So I told all my fellow Chiefs fans up here that if they didn't build Fort Knox around Patrick Mahomes this offseason, they were gonna see a mushroom cloud where my house is. So I mean, we go out, we get Orlando Brown last week. You know, you basically take your first round pick, you move it down to a 25 spots to a second round pick, and then you go get Creed Humphrey. You know, so you got all pro left tackle. You went out and got the best guard in football and Joe Thuney. You go get Creed Humphrey. You know, in my opinion, the best center on the board, and then you turn around and you get the other kid from Tennessee who was a first round talent with the blood clots. And, man, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, well, I couldn't be more pissed off. So my Steelers passed on Creed Humphrey. And what, y'all picked him four picks later, 5 picks later?
Yeah, I had to giggle a little bit because my best friend is a Steelers fan. And so, you know, he was talking shit all week, you know, about how the Steelers were going to pick him before we ever got a chance to.
That was the word. Everywhere.
I know. And so I'm sitting there. I'm sitting here watching the draft because, you know, besides whiskey and cigars, that's my vice. The draft. I watch every pick start to finish on the draft every year, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it. He's still on the board. He's still on the board. He's still on the board. You know, and here come the Steelers, and I'm like, crap. You know, but you know, hey, the Chiefs went and got the Rams center this last year, so we're all right. You know, and then. I don't even know who the Steelers picked.
They picked a tight end.
Right.
From Penn State again.
Yeah, the kid down the street, you know. So then I'm sitting here, and then I start getting mad, right? You guys picked the tight end, and I start getting mad because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, here's what's going to happen. He's still on the board. The Steelers didn't pick him at an area of obvious need, and the Chiefs are going to be too dumb to pick him, right?
Oh, no.
I'm pissed, you know, before the pick ever happens. And then, you know, my son's sitting here watching it with me. He's playing with his iPad. And I start jumping up and down, screaming and yelling when they picked Creed. And my kid thought something was wrong. You know, and, you know, it was good. You know, I'm really excited.
You know, on all the Steelers boards and, you know, even the NFL guys were saying, you know, there was talk that the Steelers might even take him with their first pick. Okay, that was that big of a need. You know, you got to replace a perennial All-Pro.
Yeah.
You know, that was, you know, arguably the best center in the NFL for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Pouncey, even though he was offsides and false started every play in the Orange Bowl against the Steelers. He did. I don't care what anybody says. And Creed Humphrey, even in the stuff he put, was those are he was one of the main guys he, you know, patterned himself after. He watched his tape to learn what to do. So you got a guy who lives and breathes that position like Pouncey did, and now you sit here, you got a guy who says, I want to be like him. That's my work ethic. That's it. And then you pass on him when he's sitting right there. You know.
Right.
Well, Terry, in other news, the Kansas City Chiefs are building a dynasty.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited because they couldn't, you know, they're like me. They couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag if they had to run a ball.
Yeah.
You know, last year, and so now it'll be interesting to see what they do.
No.
You know, if they do go run the football, because honestly, if they could run the football, I don't know if anybody can stop them.
Yeah. But on the other end of that spectrum, you may be happy, you know, but back on February 7th, you weren't so happy. I was ticked off about that game, too. The Super Bowl y'all lost. Remember that? I hate Tom Brady. There's no doubt he's the best quarterback in the NFL, maybe ever. I don't want to say the GOAT. You know, it's hard for me to say that because I don't like him. Because there were so many great quarterbacks that have come through this league. But I hated the fact that that Tom Brady won another Super Bowl.
Well, I'm convinced he sold his soul to the devil.
I think that's quite possible. Very, very possible. He's one of the richest men in the NFL, and his wife makes more money than he does.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And, she's smoking hot.
Yeah.
So he had to do something, because I was on the fence whether it was him or Belichick that sold their soul, but now I know.
Now you know who it was.
One of them, or both, quite possibly.
And the older he gets, the more he looks like Jim Carrey's The Mask character.
He does.
He does. Did you see the picture of him at the Kentucky Derby yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had on a little fedora. He looked like, the green face mask guy.
Right.
So.
Well, his wife's got to dress him. I mean, she's like model and all that stuff.
I'd let her dress me too. Thank you very much.
Not that I would object if.
Yeah.
I would do what I was told too.
Yeah.
And be happy about it.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you think about Perk going in the third round? I thought, out of this whole group, I think he is the one. Me and Rob were talking about it a little bit earlier, but do you think he should have stayed another year because of being suspended?
Well, for selfish reasons, I wanted him to stay another year. I mean, I think, immediately when he stepped on the field as a true freshman, he was the best defensive player we had. And, for the last 3 years, he's been the best defender we've had. I think that losing him against LSU and Ramondre Stevenson was one of the biggest blows that we could have had.
Yeah.
And I think that you go into the first part of this last season, not having him, he's just a difference maker. He's so disruptive. He's a little small. I think one of the things you're always going to see with Ronnie Perkins is that he's going to struggle to get up to 270, because in that 3-4 outside linebacker or a 4-3 full-time defensive end, they want you to be 270 now. The days of the guys being 225 and 240 on the outside they're pretty much over with. These kids are too big now.
Yeah.
And so I think if Ronnie stays, I mean, obviously it helps us as Sooner fans, but I don't know that it would have improved his draft stock much. Just because I don't think he gains 20 pounds. I think he's one of those kids that is always going to struggle with that. He's 6'3", he's 250, he's always going to be right there.
Yeah.
Now the difference is going to be, and I don't know how much, because obviously Oklahoma's top of the line, state of the art, everything. But now being a full-time football player, instead of having to balance the student life with it, maybe he can put on a little bit of weight, not lose any quickness. But as far as a fit for him defensively, what the Patriots do, I think it's perfect. I thought he would have fit in really well with the Cowboys too, just because they could put him out there on the edge and just bring him and turn him loose. But that's something that Belichick is very good at, and I think that's why he's been so good for so long, is he drafts people according to the needs of the team,
right,
and how they fit what they do. So I think it's great for him. I think they've got Van Noy back this year. I think that he'll probably get 15, 20 snaps a game, maybe a little bit more. They'll let him rush the passer, and on long downs, he may sniff out a few draws. He's gonna make some plays, and he's gonna make some noise. But I think it's an ideal situation for him going to New England.
Yeah. Again, I hate New England, so it's it's the Brady Belichick factor. Again,
sure.
I think Belichick. Belichick is the Nick Saban of the NFL. Everybody hates him, but if he was your coach, you'd love him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's
absolutely.
You got to give him respect. Nick Saban come on, for crying out loud. Yeah, you can sit there and go, he's a butthole.
He's another
rude.
guy that may have sold his soul to
Yeah.
the devil. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there were a few of them hanging out that weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah. But, Belichick, obviously one of the greatest coaches in
Gotta be.
NFL
I mean,
history, you know.
You can't argue with the stats.
Doesn't mean I have to like his teams, though.
It's true.
Yeah. And, Ramondre, I feel like Stevenson, anywhere he goes, he's going to be a utility back. You know what I mean? A guy that they're going to be able to use in all situations, but I think really in the more short yardage, probably red zone type running back.
I don't know. I think he fits well in the pro package. I just think he's going to do really well.
Well, what they do, is having they're probably not going to run Cam Newton as much as he did early in his career, but the way that they're going to do things with him and fake that zone read and do some of that stuff, he's going to be productive. I didn't realize until I was watching the draft that he averaged over 8 yards a carry this last year.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
That's a crazy stat. It is a crazy stat.
Yeah, that's obscene.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah.
Well, did you hear what the Fox crew said about Trey Sermon in Oklahoma?
No, I didn't. What they say?
It was Joel Klatt who actually kind of it wasn't a, a lot of fans take things as like, oh my God, they were trash in Oklahoma. But, they talked about the game he had in the Big Ten championship where, I don't know, he rushed for 8 million yards,
Right.
just ran all over everybody. And, they said, look what he did at Ohio State and Oklahoma, way better running back than he was at Oklahoma. And Joel Klatt was like, well, it's two different systems. Oklahoma is more of an RPO utility, multi-back, multi-options going, and Ohio State's running game is right downhill. They're handing the ball off. Oklahoma, there's too many options.
Thank you, Joel Klatt, for not being stupid.
Yeah, but, they were like, well, he was a better back. And Klatt, was just like, hey, it's two different systems. Oklahoma runs the ball, but they run it in an RPI situation. There's so many options for the quarterback: give, keep, throw, double reverse, whatever comes into Lincoln's mind. But it was kind of Joel kind of saved it, but it was kind of like, Oklahoma is not, it was kind of a dig towards Oklahoma's running game. And it just dumbfounds me that the people that are supposed to be experts, because I've said this before, when we went to the Rose Bowl, I sat right next to some Georgia fans, and they were dumbfounded at how well Oklahoma ran the ball. They were like, why aren't y'all throwing it? All we've heard is this air raid offense, and you guys are just running it down our throat. And I was like, we've been that way all year. I don't know why people don't think we can run the ball. So,
well, even people here in Kansas City don't realize it.
Yeah.
They were talking about it at work last week. They were talking about Orlando Brown because obviously everybody's Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
And they're like, who is this kid? Well, he can pass block. He's from Oklahoma. That's what they were talking about. Because Mahomes is going to sling it, but then they turn around and immediately they start talking about, well, he had to learn how to run block when he was with the Ravens because of Lamar Jackson. And I'm just sitting there listening to this, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. So, people really don't know. I think they're just in a geographic bubble. And, everybody knows that the SEC is God, according to those guys. So if you're not in the SEC, even if I think Oklahoma would be better off going 2-8 every year in the SEC. I think they would probably get more respect than they do going 11-1 every year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. It's just a bubble.
Yeah.
People are ignorant.
Well, honestly, I think Oklahoma would end up doing better than, a two-loss. They would end up being more like Alabama.
Oh, for
in
sure.
it, just because of the history. And now this team is in the SEC. Some of these running backs who went, I'm going to go ahead and go to Bama, would probably end up it's not so much they want to play for Alabama; they want to play in the SEC, and that's just how it is. I mean, I think it's crazy, but some of these kids, these players, have bought into the fact of these recruits is, well, if I play in the SEC, it's a better conference.
Well, yeah, but did we remind them what last year's OU Florida game score was? Because we kicked all up in that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And who did we play before that? Auburn.
Yeah.
And put a smoking on them.
No.
Yeah, but they didn't want to be there, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'd say too if I got my butt handed to me.
Exactly. I tell you what, I've never wanted to be at any ass whooping I got either.
You get up off the ground like, hey, I didn't really want to be here, so that didn't count.
Yeah, I didn't really, Yeah.
You didn't want to be there because you got smoked.
That's right.
And that's the word. I mean, what was it? Their coach said was that wasn't the SEC runner-up out on that. The last time you saw
that wasn't the Florida Gators out there.
Yeah.
If I'm one of the kids that played that night,
I'm mad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, but hey, let's talk a little bit about where do you want to start? We want to start with defensive line. Let's start with defensive line.
Ooh, a little curveball.
Yeah. First off, I want to see here for 13.
He's counting, so we have to pull
13.
his shoes off.
Yeah, exactly. 13 defensive line. When is the last time we had 13 defensive linemen on a roster?
I can't remember.
Probably every year. We just don't know who they are.
Or they're all hurt.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, I know it hasn't been. I mean, that's been one of the things they've said every year is that, that we're not, we're not very deep in the defensive line. I mean, we've got Jiminy Christmas.
Well, in years past, we had to bring them out of the stands, Terry.
Yeah.
To back up on the defensive line.
And the smallest one is Dominique Jones, a redshirt senior, 6 foot, 286 pounds. Everybody else is 6'2" or above. Marcus Hicks is 6'5". Stokes is 6'4". Isaiah Thomas.
Is Marcus healthy?
Yeah, he played in the spring game.
Fantastic! I can't wait to see him play.
He didn't get a lot of action, but yeah, he played a little bit.
Let's see. Lindsey Reed, 6'4". Corey Robertson, 6'4". Josh Ellison, 6'2". Jordan Kelly, 6'3". Noah Arenze, 6'5". Redmond, 6'3". Reggie Grimes, 6'4". Winfrey, 6'3". That man is the angriest looking human being I've ever seen.
He's a beast, isn't he? He's a beast.
Yeah, he's scary.
Yeah. I mean, even T-Row said on I think it was his radio show after the Texas game, the most intimidating looking Texas wearing the golden hat. Mm-hmm. He was wearing it with the horns down. He said that is the most intimidating, look of a man in the golden hat ever.
So I got to tell you, JY, last year I was in the club in the South Club where they feed the football players, and he was sitting there with a group of guys. And the Adam Sandler football movie, I always forget the name.
Yeah, Waterboy.
What?
Yeah,
No, the remake of.
The Longest Yard.
The Longest Yard.
I watched that last night.
You know how the big guy says he broke in my nose.
Yeah,
Right,
he was doing that and I was dying because he was spot on. Like that kid's got some talent. I was laughing though, but he's a huge guy and he's just over there doing that. I'm like, oh my god.
I actually watched the Longest Yard last night. It came on and the broke in my nose. I also liked the Italian character that he played at Kansas State. Oh, no shit! You played for Coach Bill Snyder? No, Kansas State Penitentiary.
Oh.
When he gets hurt in the game,
Yeah.
can of cream corn, would be fine. Can of cream corn. I love that guy. He kind of reminded me of me. That's how I would be right now if they put me back on a football field. I'd be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When they're running laps, he's laying there Don't you cut me from this team. Somebody get me a Diet Coke.
Yeah, 10 years ago, wasn't really a fan of that Toby Keith song that ain't as good as I once was. It makes a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Now it's hitting home for us, isn't it?
Yeah, I could be good one snap. I just hope the rest of the team would be good too. You know?
Yeah, Rob comes walking in here this evening about to fall over. What'd you do? Sprained your ankle?
I don't know.
Playing golf?
Playing golf.
Yeah, I was going to say I went and hit a bucket of balls, and I'm sore as all get out.
Yeah. And see, and that's what, JY, when you start getting mine and Rob's age, you start having injured, just like Rob said, I don't know, playing golf, you have a body part that starts hurting, and you're like, why is my arm hurting? Why is my shoulder?
Yeah,
I don't remember doing anything.
This ain't right.
I was thinking about that the other day. I mean, when you're a kid, I was watching my son. He's 6, getting ready to be 7, and he's running around. He comes up, he's like, "Dad, my side hurts," because he's been running so much. And when you're a kid, you can run till you're damn near dead, and it doesn't bother you. But you get a random pain when you're in your mid-40s or 50s. You think you are going to die. You think you're going to have a heart attack.
Something ain't right. Yeah.
No. Okay, I have to share another golf story. Okay, we play golf with a couple of fellas at the golf club there at the links here in Norman. One of the guys' name is Lejean. Great guy, one of the funniest guys. I'm his designated cusser because he doesn't cuss.
Yeah.
So he'll actually pay me to cuss for him if he's playing bad enough. But
that's cussing by proxy, Terry.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure that's allowed.
We were it was just me and him the last weekend on the course, and right after the third hole, he comes up to me, comes off the green, and he holds up his hand. He goes, "Okay, this is going to seem weird, but I want to tell you this." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "My middle finger on my left hand just went numb in the middle of the fairway back there. And I don't know why." And he pulls off his glove, and it was white. I mean, there was no blood in it, and it was cold. And he goes, "I'm only telling you this because if I, fall out in the next hole or two, you can tell them when they get here." Well, he said his finger was numb, so they might know what's wrong with me.
Right. And so then you jump on WebMD, and you're going to be dead by Thursday.
Oh, yeah. I quit doing – I used to do that, WebMD, and I'm like – every time I would put something in, it would say, "Go to the hospital immediately." I'm like, why?
Here's the thing. I'm in the middle of a round of golf right now. I'll go when I'm done.
The beer cart just got here. I can't go to the hospital.
Y'all got to put that on hold.
Yeah, but it was, he was telling me his finger went numb in case he fell out in the next couple of holes. I could tell 911, and I told him, I said, "Well, first, I would have to stop laughing from you falling out before I could call 911, Lejean." So,
see, and that's a good friend right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Holding up his end of the bargain.
Yeah, walk over and poke you with a club. Get up.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Who on this back to the Sooners and the defensive line? Who is our strong point this year? Do you think?
Well, I think. You hear the term strength in numbers, and to this point, I've always wondered if, the term depth is overrated. But you look at it now, you've got functional depth at just about every position. You've got, I think they made a move that really nobody's talking about in moving Marcus Stripling to that rush backer spot right behind Benito.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be big because when you look at them side by sides, they're about the same size. I think he's going to be good. He needs to work on some moves and things like that. I think the kid that I didn't see much out of him in the spring game, Isaiah Coe, they're talking about, he's the most powerful kid on the D-line, believe it or not.
Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah. Ellison, I think, played a really good game. He's taken a big step forward. So you got Ellison, you got Coe, you got Winfrey,
Grimes.
You got LaRon Stokes
staying
on the inside, that's very good. And Isaiah Thomas is just a terror. He just played really well.
Yeah, well, they're saying, and that's the one they said that may be the best out of the bunch, that is just
going back to what you said earlier about Trey Sermon just being in a different system, how much different was Mike Stoops' system when you get Isaiah Thomas in it versus this system
Yeah.
that goes off of his quickness and lets him get upfield and be disruptive and all that. And then you got, like you said, you got Reggie Grimes, who's now in year 2. He's going to get better and better and develop. Most of these kids probably aren't going to see something significant until year 3, maybe midway through year 2. But Jordan Kelly has had a really good spring. I think he's going to be really good. And, the other guy that we didn't really get to see again because he had a death in the family is Jalen Redmond.
Yeah.
Right.
Are we ever going to get that kid on the field? And then you got Marcus Hicks, we haven't even talked about, who's probably the first guy off the bus.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And see you kind of hit on it, the depth. Here's what I like about the depth. All these guys that we're talking about, we've heard of. You know what I mean? They play. You've heard their name called in a game.
Yes.
Except for like Hicks, but I mean, almost every one of these guys, you've heard their number called in a game, and that's the type of depth we, well, and I think Grinch said it right after the game is like, now we're not so much worried about who's on the field. It's more the package that we're in. When was the last time you heard a coach say that?
Well, yeah, just to that point, you see it all the time in the NFL, where they have a long yardage package where you have a Ronnie Perkins playing at D tackle, right?
Right.
Where you got a smaller guy that's spun down on the inside to give you a better pass rush. And you put somebody like Isaiah Thomas at the nose,
Right.
So they've got those guys. You can literally put Jalen Redmond, Isaiah Thomas, Reggie Grimes, another rusher on the field all at the same time, Nick Benito. You can do that.
Right.
And have legitimately 4 amazing rushers that are going to win that one-on-one matchup. And that's why I love a 4-man front, because in a 3-man front, you can double team 2 guys, but in a 4-man front, you can only double team 1 guy. And then there's 3 one-on-one matchups. And with those 4 guys on the field, somebody's bound to win one of those one-on-ones. And then if you bring a blitz, your odds are even better.
Well, that was the best comment, in my opinion, that out of the spring game that I heard from any of the coaches. Just to hear, Grinch, our defensive coordinator, is now not worried. For the last 2 years, he's like, okay, who's in there so I can do this? I'm not, we're not worried who's on the field. Now we're worried about it's not even worried. It's like we're wondering what package we're going to be in. So basically what he said is everybody that he's got, he's happy to go, hey, leave them out there and run this, slip into, whatever he wants for that deal. He doesn't have to worry about getting people on the field. Everybody out there can do it in any situation.
Which means
that
they're going
in.
to stay fresh, which means they're going to stay hungry. All right?
Exactly. And just like Rob's saying, I mean, if you're not playing well, you're not going to play.
Right.
That's right. And
go
ahead.
He hit the nail on the head. That's the way that you keep these kids motivated. And you see it all the time at Alabama and Clemson, where they've got these guys that look like animals on every snap, and people are dumbfounded by how do they keep these kids so motivated and how do they keep them at a high level. And these kids understand if you don't play, you're not going to get drafted.
You ain't going to play. That's right. If you don't play, you ain't going to play.
That's right.
And JY, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, right? We've been doing this how long, Terry?
3 years.
3 years. You remember the first year I think we had you on, we were talking about the defense, and I'm pretty sure we were last in just about every category. And then
we were last in coming out of the tunnel.
We came out of the tunnel last. Way to point that out, Terry. I mean, it's not like we weren't losing everything else. But now we're talking about this defense having real potential, maybe even a top 10 defense. Would you go as far as to say that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just can they stay healthy, right? Because that would be the only thing that gets me, because another kid that's coming in is the Kelvin Gilliam kid that I'm really excited to see, and to see what he's going to do. And, are we going to see Clayton Smith is another kid that we didn't talk about. Is he going to be, in spot situations? I think Aguebu takes a big step this year. He's probably going to be one of the best linebackers. But then, you got the Witter kid that I'm really high on too, that really showed out last year in a couple spots. Devon Graham looked good in the secondary. Does Key Lawrence take over in the secondary? Does Billy Bowman, who looked great in the spring game? When was the last time we had a guy like that could lock down somebody that's super fast like Marvin Mims in the slot? So I don't know. 3-4 years ago, I was an optimist, but now I think they have the capability to do it. But will they do it? I think Coach Grinch's head's going to explode if they don't.
Yep.
To be honest with you.
Along with ours.
Right. And I think they've got all the tools to do it. Because in years past, I wasn't confident in the coaching that they had. But, the last 2 years, Manning has proven to be a very good developer of talent. Odom has been a great developer of talent. You look at, Kenneth Murray's number 1 or first round draft pick, and what he's done with these other linebackers. And then, Coach Thibodeau is a guy that gets a lot of heat for whatever reason on a lot of Sooner sites, but he's done really well with that interior.
Yeah.
And then Jamar Cain comes in year 1 and is recruiting, just hits the ground running. It's going to be tough to hang on to him.
Yeah.
As that edge coach, but they've got great coaching, they've got great talent, and the team looks physically different.
That's the other thing is this defensive line. They're huge. I mean, they're 6'3", 6'4", 6'3", 6'5", 6'3", 6'4", 6. I mean, they're massive. I mean, and that wasn't the case in the last era of the Stoops brothers,
Right.
and it was smaller, quicker. They went to that. I don't know what you would call it.
Well, now don't knock on it too bad, Terry. I mean, we had Stryker come out of that group,
but again, Stryker was small.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
it
still
wasn't
a star, though.
But all the rest of them were small.
Well,
Stryker.
You look at the last time they really had a good defense under Stoops, and that was when you had Charles Tapper.
Yeah.
You had Geno Grissom. You had the Wade kid in the middle. You had Romar was a good one technique, but it was almost the exact opposite of what you'd think, because they had the smaller, quicker guys, but they were playing a 2-gap scheme with those smaller, quicker guys.
Yeah.
So it didn't make a lot of sense what they were trying to do. They didn't have the personnel, but then when they tried to recruit to it, they kind of got caught in between and got ran off the field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're seeing, the last two years of defensive recruiting big. Because all these guys are young. I mean, all the ones that we brought up are, except for Ron Stokes is a senior, Dominique Jones is a senior. There's a couple of redshirt freshmen. I mean, most of these guys are sophomores.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and mark it down, Terry. JY said we were going to be a top 10 defense. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm coming to you guys' tailgate this year at some point, so you can kick my butt if it doesn't happen.
No, but see, here's your defense on that. You could say, hey, I meant in the Big 12. So we'll be a top 10 defense in the Big 12.
And there's a couple other guys we didn't talk about either. I mean, everybody's high on the Ethan Downs kid. He's another 6'4" guy. And then you got the NRK kid from Oregon, 6'7", playing defensive end, right?
Woo, that's a big boy.
Yeah, and then the Kelvin Gilliam kid coming in out of Virginia, he's 6'4", 6'5", and they're really high on him, thinking he might be coming in trying to challenge for playing time day one. And he wasn't an early enrollee. So, when was the last time you had – I mean, I don't know that you can go back 20 years and see this much talent for 2 or 3 layers up, because before you had Dusty and you had Tommy Harris, but behind them, like you said, you're calling people out of the stands
Yeah.
Yeah.
because when they got hurt in 03, they didn't have anybody in the middle.
Yeah.
I remember going to that Kansas State game, and they had the big kid out of Illinois that came down that, ate his way off campus. I can't remember his name, but
I remember they caught him dancing on the sideline.
Yeah.
What was
that
his
guy.
name? Dadgummit.
yeah, you know who I'm talking
Oh
about.
yeah.
But we haven't had depth like this in forever.
Yeah.
I don't remember it in my lifetime. Anyway.
No, it's yeah. And before we jump over to the offensive side of the ball, well, to the offensive line side of the ball, Rob and I had a discussion on the last podcast about our quarterback situation at Oklahoma. Now, we don't say that there's a quarterback controversy because
Definitely not.
Spencer Rattler is the starter. But do you believe there's a quarterback battle at Oklahoma? Because there's a difference, don't you think?
There is a difference, and you don't know because you weren't inside the room, and you don't know what's between the ears of the kids. So, I mean, it looked like, at least to me, it looked like Caleb Williams looked like the more composed, more mature guy out of the two.
Right.
But, you look at Rattler and you don't know if he's taking shots downfield, trying to make the big play, because he was throwing into a lot of, he wasn't taking a lot of high percentage throws. Let's just put it.
Yeah.
And you don't know if that's by design and they wanted to work on that, which is possible.
Yeah. That.
But to his credit too, I think Jeremiah Hall dropped 3 or 4 of his passes too, which is very uncharacteristic. So if you don't have those drops, is everybody talking about it as much?
Right. Well, but my point is like, do you get the top 2 quarterbacks in 3 years, come into your program and they're not battling, Caleb Williams didn't come here to sit on, just like Spencer Rattler, they didn't come here to sit on the bench.
Sure.
Caleb Williams came here to play. You look at all of his social media posts and all the stuff, his senior year, and he's still in high school. Duh. That's what gets me. He's taking high school and college courses right now. But this kid came to play, and I'm not saying that there's I don't think there's, it's Spencer Rattler's job to lose in my opinion.
And that's a good way to put it.
But I mean, I guarantee you, Caleb Williams, just this kid's mentality, he is pushing. He wants to be the guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's thinking, hey, I'm going to have to sit a year. He's thinking, I'm going to try to win that spot.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. He's an alpha. And I think there's parts about both of their games that are better than the other guy. I think that Spencer Rattler is not a big physical guy. He's just not. He's not a runner. He's not a 4-5 guy like Caleb Williams is. But, I mean, he's serviceable enough to run around and make some plays with his feet. But I don't think Caleb Williams is able to put the ball in places that Spencer Rattler can either.
Right.
Right? So it depends on what part of the game you're looking for. And I think this year with the new running back that you got in Gray, and I think with a better offensive line, I think that the offense is going to be more wide open. I think with the offensive line having an off season, because let's face it, we're fat guys, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't work, you're going to put on a couple pounds. You're not going to be as mobile as you should be. You're not going to be as good. So I don't think that unless Rattler just has a bad game that we'll see it a whole lot. I think that you'll see Caleb Williams play.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, let's face it, you're going to have him ready after this year, because if Spencer Rattler does come out and do what everybody expects him to do, which is crazy that you expect a kid to win the Heisman Trophy, win the national championship, and be the number 1 pick in the draft. That's what everybody, expects this kid to do. So, hey, no pressure.
No pressure. Yeah.
None at all.
So just like Rob just said, I mean, he's going to be gone, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have Caleb Williams ready. And I think something that Lincoln Riley is a master at is communicating to his team. I don't know how he does it because I'm not in those meetings and I'm not in those practices, but he is very, very good at letting people play and helping them understand why everybody else is playing. So I think you got to get Caleb Williams some snaps to have him ready for next year, or in the case of an injury to Spencer Rattler, right?
Yeah.
You got to have him ready. But the good news for us as Sooner fans is either one of them can get it done.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And maybe one better than the other, and I'm not saying which one is which.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think the younger guy is a little bit better. I think he's got more top end potential.
Yeah. I do
You know?
too. I mean, I think, here's what I said on the last podcast. If something happens to Spencer like it did in the Texas game,
Yes.
Spencer Rattler may not touch the field again. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's not what's his name that came in that game. We talked about him last week. Went to TCU.
Well,
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Yeah, but I mean,
let's play a game real quick.
okay.
All right. I'm going to ask both of you guys one at a time. Okay. If roles were reversed and Caleb Williams was the incumbent starter, does Spencer, or are we talking about Spencer Rattler taking his job? Rob?
You mean based on the spring game performance or just everything that we've heard? I mean,
All of the above.
all the above. I think no.
Okay.
I
Eric?
think no.
I think I would be, personally, because again, my theory is the top two quarterbacks in 3 years,
Sure.
like you said, they're alphas. They walk in a room or on a field and go, "I'm the man." No, I'm the man. Da 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 da.
Well,
And I think we would see that. Personally, though, I think Caleb Williams is the better athlete and better, probably, probably better quarterback prospect overall.
and the reason that I say no is because everything that we've heard about Caleb Williams, about how he's a year ahead of where they expected him to be, how he's already kind of got the team behind him in a leadership type role. They just want to follow him. The physical skills, he's quick, he's a runner, more so than Spencer. Now, Spencer can run the football, but I just don't think he's as good at it as Caleb Williams is going to be.
Right.
Well, and
So-
the other thing is he gonna get hurt if he runs the football too much?
No, I'd say he probably does. I mean, he's not even 200 pounds, is he? What is he, $190?
I mean, he's
He
200 now. I think
Oh, is
he's
he?
gotten a little bit bigger.
Well, I don't know.
210,
Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
but Caleb Williams is 219 as a freshman.
Yeah, he looks bigger.
Well, to me, Caleb Williams is a faster version of Jalen Hurts with a better arm.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I mean,
You got to be careful what you say about Jalen on here. We got some followers that will get up on you
Fine.
quick.
I think hey, dude, the kid's a starter in the NFL.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a hell of a good player. He just didn't make all the throws that we're used to seeing other quarterbacks that have worn the crimson and cream make.
well,
Cleo,
but,
that's at Jason Young.
at Jay Wyber. But see, here's the other thing, though. Was that by design? I mean, we beat our heads. You're on the podcast that year. We beat our heads against the wall. Was he running because he was told to run, or I'm beginning to think it was that
Really?
that there were times
I don't know if I agree with that theory.
I think there were times that he shouldn't have, but I can't see Lincoln Riley leaving him in there if he was doing what Lincoln Riley wasn't telling him to do. If he was telling him you're running too soon.
Cleo, that's at Terry Long.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I think that was by design that he ran that much. I don't, because if Lincoln wasn't happy with him doing it, you're not going to let him do it. You don't care who the kid is.
Yeah.
Don't you think, JY? I mean,
Well, I think Lincoln Riley is very good at understanding the politics of the position, right?
yeah.
So I think Jalen Hurts is everybody in America knows who Jalen Hurts is. Everybody in America knows who Lincoln Riley is, right?
Yeah.
And there was a point that season where Jalen Hurts was really, really struggling. I mean, you look when the Sooners really had a hard time in the middle of the year, and they lost a couple of games, it was because of turnovers that he committed.
Right.
And so I think at that point, I think Riley dialed the offense back and said, okay, this is what he does well. This is what we're going to do.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what you do because, I mean, yes, you have – and there were some people, myself included, that were getting to the point in some of these games and get frustrated. You start calling for Rattler, who's a true freshman, right?
Well, that's a typical fan right there.
Right?
Me and Rob were every game. Do it. What are you running for?
Right. Yeah.
And it got to the point it was like when he would drop back, it was like, don't run. Oh my God, he's running again.
Well, part of that was because
go.
Yeah, part of that was because he's got a super strong arm.
Yeah.
I mean, he was definitely capable of making those throws, and I can't imagine that.
No doubt in my mind, he was capable of making those throws.
Yeah.
He dropped his eyes a lot.
Yeah,
and he didn't go through his progressions, I think, as well as some guys. Kyler was great at it. Baker was great at it. But it was the same things that he struggled with when he was at Alabama. I mean, because that's why he left Alabama.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we never see him in a Sooner uniform if he didn't struggle with them.
Mm-hmm. So here, you brought up Kyler and Baker. Who is the better quarterback, Kyler or Baker?
Oh man,
we're going to see how many Sooner fans you can piss off.
You're getting ready to get hated by
that. No, seriously. I mean, I Rob says I hate Baker. I don't hate Baker.
He hates him.
I hate the Cleveland Browns. Okay. But,
okay, so let's do this. I think if you put that 2018, I think, offense, is that the right year, the Rose Bowl offense? I think if you put Kyler Murray behind that offensive line with Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb and all those guys, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think he takes it to a little bit of a different level.
Yeah,
for sure.
So here's a question that me and Rob have talked about before, and Caleb, when when we're sitting around Buffalo Wild Wings or Louis, is if Kyler Murray does not go to Texas A&M, okay, if he comes right out of high school to the University of Oklahoma,
do we even know
who Baker Mayfield is?
Well, do we even know who Lincoln Riley is?
No. Quit avoiding the question, JY.
I think we gotta call it what it is. If Josh Heupel gets fired, right?
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley comes in. All things are equal. Then I don't know, because you're probably going to have Kyler Murray be your starter day one, and I don't know that Baker gets the opportunity to supplant him.
Yep. He just one up us, Terry.
Yeah.
He just one up us.
Right? But on the flip side of that, is Kyler Murray good enough to keep Josh Heupel employed as your offensive coordinator?
Probably.
Well,
Probably.
Okay. Have you ever seen anything like the Baker Mania, or as?
No. I mean, hands down, as far as sentimental favorites go, Baker Mayfield is the most popular outside of Bosmania in the 80s.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like Baker Mayfield mania as a Sooner.
I'm telling you, just post something negative or halfway negative about Baker on Twitter or Facebook. Half of the world comes down on you.
No, not everybody hates him like you do, Terry.
I mean,
well, here, I'll put it to you this way, okay? When I came down to a Sooner game, can't remember, I think it was the UCLA game a few years back. Well, I stopped by to see my aunt and my uncle, two of my dad's siblings, right, that are both pushing their 70s. To that point, other than them coming to some of my high school football games, I didn't know that they cared about football, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there on a Sunday after I get up and I cruise over there, and my aunt, who I've never heard say a cuss word in my entire life, is cussing the TV because the Cleveland Browns aren't on. I didn't even know she watched it, but
Yeah.
little did I know.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, Teddy Lehman on his show after the spring game, he didn't have to work. He actually, did he have to work? No, I don't think he did. And there was a couple. But Teddy Lehman brought up the fact that he saw people wearing Baker jerseys, Browns Baker jerseys at the game. He said it caught me off guard. He said I turned and looked, and there's some orange. What the heck is people? I've never seen people. I mean, go to a game and there's more than a couple of people wearing Baker
Baker's Browns
Mayfield
jersey?
Cleveland Browns jerseys. They're like every
Yeah,
fifth row.
and they're stupid because they wear the orange ones. You want to slap the shit out of them. Why didn't you get a white one?
But it still has orange in it.
Well, yeah, but not as much.
Yeah.
Well, you can cut them sleeves off.
Yeah.
Grow the back
Just
of
like
your
a
hair
damn
out.
orange, saw 'em off.
And
I mean, it's, and again, Baker was a great quarterback, still is. Okay, I'm not taking anything away. I have me and another person who I won't say their name. was,
way to go.
well, we've deemed it, the Baker cult. I mean, it is literally, I can't remember who posted something last year. They were asking about something about Baker, and it may have been you, and I put it on there. I was like, didn't you see Baker today? He was over on the Ohio River walking on water.
Right. I believe it.
It's crazy. I've never seen, somebody just.
Well, Baker's the kind of personality that he drags people with him.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at how much the culture of Oklahoma football changed from the time that he took over until, we're an overtime away from playing for the national championship.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
then he goes and takes an NFL franchise to the playoffs for the first time.
By himself.
Forever.
Nobody else. Nobody else is on that team. It's just Baker. Now you sound like one of them, JY.
Well, I'm gonna call timeout for a second. Okay? Because earlier in this conversation, you were talking about how great Tom Brady was. There was nobody.
Well, it's because he sold his soul to the devil, and we knew that.
Well, you got a point, but there's nobody else on that team in Tampa either.
Oh, but yeah, no, but
Nobody else has been able to do it.
But according to the Baker cult, it's all because of Baker. So I'm just saying. I'm not trying to. I'm going to make everybody mad at us. I better stop.
You're not making me mad. I enjoy a good debate about anything. I'll debate with you about anything. But I think that he's a hell of a personality, and I mean, people rally behind him. Whether they're players.
Oh yeah.
Or,
I mean,
and the kid can play too. I mean, both of them have got statues outside, or they're supposed to.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, I mean, I hold, I mean, I like Baker. I mean, I want him to do well. Of course, like I said, when he plays the Steelers, I hope, TJ comes around the corner and takes his head off. It's just that simple.
Well, I would expect you to. I mean, when he plays the Chiefs, I don't want him to play well.
Yeah. So
I get it.
But let's jump on and talk a little bit about the offensive line. First thing is that apparently they need to, let me see here, get Chris Murray and Nate Anderson, to eating right because they only weigh 279 pounds. So, and Matt Torres is only 298. Everybody else is like 350.
Sure.
Good Lord.
They're different body styles too. I mean, we're used to, we had a center that just got drafted that's like 6'4", 6'5", 320.
Yeah.
I mean, when do you ever see that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at Noah Nelson, a redshirt freshman, 6'7", 307 pounds. I'm guessing he's a tackle.
Yeah, he's
Stacy Wilkins, a redshirt freshman, 6'6", 316 pounds. Finley Felix, he's a senior, 6'5", 303. God, these guys are massive. Their food bill must be astronomical at the university, feeding these guys. Who's going to step up and take Creed's place?
well. I don't know. You look at it. I think Beedenbow is an ideal position because he has so much depth everywhere along that front. You got the transfer in, the Congo kid that reminds me a lot of Ben Powers. Unfortunately, we're only going to have 1 year with him because I think he's a senior this year. You've got Andrew Rame, who started the spring game, and of course you don't know how much of this is motivation and what's what, but if you go by who started the spring game, you had the Tennessee transfer Wanye Morris,
Yeah,
was your left tackle. You had Hayes, who's been your incumbent at left guard, and he's massive too. He's like 6'6", weighs like 700 pounds or whatever. I mean, they're all gigantic now.
Yeah, he's a Volkswagen.
Right, there you go. And you had Andrew Rame, the redshirt freshman, actually started at center. And then on the right guard position, you had the kid from UCLA, the transfer Murray, playing right guard. And then at right tackle, at his most natural position, in my opinion, you had Swenson. So if it stays that way, that might be your five. But you just don't know because, talking to everybody that I know anyway that's close to the program, Stacy Wilkins going into the fall last year was penciled in to be the starter, and then he got COVID, got really sick. So, and then you had to have Swenson play on the left side, and then Stacy opted out, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
But from everything I hear too, Andrew Rame is the next great one that's going to be coming out of there. And the one thing that I've noticed about Beedenbow is he likes that center position to be one guy.
Yeah.
For many years. And you look, he had Creed was there, it seems like forever. And it wouldn't shock me to see him just let Andrew Rame be that same guy.
Yeah. Well, again, depth, 19 offensive linemen. That's what, 5 units?
Yeah, it is. Because you look at it too, and a couple of kids we're not even talking about, Anton Harrison, didn't see him a lot in the spring game. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but you could possibly have him at one of your tackles. Somebody that, to me, that looked really good was Aaron Parks. He's the other kid out of Maryland that is also 6'5", 310. He looks really good. You can tell he's put in some good work. None of them look fat this year.
Yeah.
They all look like they put in a lot of good off-season work, and that's what people don't realize is between, January and spring, that is the hardest time for a college football player in the summertime all year long. The season's fun, right?
Yeah.
If you're winning. But that's like boot camp, man. You get up in the morning and you run, and then you come back and you lift in the afternoon. I mean, you're there, and then you're watching film in the afternoon too. So you're covered up. It's every bit of 12-hour days all day long, every day of the week.
Yeah.
But there's more depth, more good depth. Goes back to what we were saying about the D line. You've got, Beedenbow's going to do it. He's going to mix and match probably up until mid-season, until he figures out, okay, what's my best five? Which ones click the best?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't shock me at all to see Murray at that guard spot, because to me, guard and center, as long as the guy can snap, they're pretty interchangeable. So you could have Congo in there, you could have Hayes, you could have Robinson in there. I mean, he loves Robinson, or he wouldn't ask him to bump out and play tackle periodically. and then you got Wilkins if he ever gets healthy. Is he going to bump any of those guys? You got so many guys that are good players.
Yeah.
And people are down on Eric Swenson, but he played 2 years ago with a busted shoulder for an entire season. So, I mean, the kid gutted it out for 2 or 3 months with the shoulder jacked up and just got healthy last year. So, and he actually graded out as the highest performing offensive lineman the Sooners had in the against Florida. So
in your opinion, the offensive line is going to be a good, strong offensive line?
Well, I think they can be. I think they're going to be. I think, having Kennedy Brooks back is definitely going to help. I think having I love the Eric Gray pickup.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he looked really good. I think they've got all the potential in the world. I think the one thing that we need that we haven't had in the last couple of years is an edge presence at tight end. We haven't had that blocking guy because Stogner was hurt most of last year.
And that's crazy what that ended up being.
Right.
I mean, almost dying from an infection in his, well, I guess, was it in his thigh or in his hip?
His thigh muscle, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a freak deal. But, I mean, in this offense, if you've got that guy standing there at that H-back spot or in that little slot position, they belly him back, or even lined up as a true tight end, it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference widening that defense out one gap.
Yeah.
So, they've got to find that this year some way, shape, or form. And hopefully Stogner will be that guy.
Oh, I think
you look back at Carson Meyer. Sorry to interrupt, but Carson Meyer he wasn't quite the pass catcher of any of these guys, but he was extremely effective blocking on the edge.
Yeah. Well, but really the tight end position with Lincoln has become a hybrid, that H-back instead of a
Mikey Williams kind of a character.
You know what I mean? It's not
Mikey Henderson.
Because Austin Stogner, really, he's the only true, in my opinion, tight end build that they have in that position. Kind of like, that's all we have. He's 6'6", 255. Jackson Sumlin 6'2". Jeremiah Hall 6'2". Braden Willis 6'3". So Austin's really the only true tight end. I mean, do you think maybe that's by design that he's going away from the traditional
NFL prototypes?
Yeah, Anderson, Stogner's type, and going more to a fullback hybrid. Because Stogner could play he could play that you can spread him out.
Right.
And so could Anderson. I don't know that you really do want to do that with Braden Willis or Jeremiah Hall or
they have done it with him.
Yeah.
Well, I think those guys are so hard to find.
Yeah.
I mean, those are unique body types. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's, like Rob Gronkowski, 6'6", 265.
Yeah.
You don't find those guys. And if you do find them, they're not athletic enough.
Heck, we had one in Norman that we let go to Iowa State.
Right? Well, you had that one, and then you had, ironically, define irony of all irony, right? You remember the George Kittle experiment.
Yep.
Right? His son was right there at Norman North. Wasn't OU good, as people like to say on the Sooner boards, right? OU good. I hate that damn term, the OU good in quotations. And now he's one of the best tight ends in football. But he wasn't OU good, right?
Yeah.
So, hell, I don't know. I mean, you've got some bodies that you could. One of the things I'd like to see them do, and I don't know if we ever will see it, but they've gone double tackle before.
Yeah.
Where they did it early in Riley's tenure, and you might see it. I mean, depending on who has the best practices and all that kind of thing, if they wanted to go power and just smash the hell out of somebody, but Riley likes to throw it too much.
Yeah, but that is something, I've heard Riley say more, one of the things that he got from Stoops when he got here and has built this offense around it and talked with other people, that the importance of the run game, because we all know, he's a protege of Leach. Leach doesn't run the ball to, save his life. I mean, you could hold a gun to his head and he'd go ahead and shoot. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw it. But
well,
Lincoln,
and honestly, go ahead.
Lincoln is leaned towards, I want a strong running game that if I want to pound it, I can. You know what I mean? And sure. I think he's recruiting offensive linemen, obviously, for that. These big guys, not just to pass block, but, hey, if I want to, run it, and smart guys. I mean, I think was it last year's game, or was it a game it was a game 2 years ago with Jalen, where it was a screenplay and the tackle turned and was watching Jalen. He wasn't watching he was watching Jalen to see what Jalen did. And if he ran it, and they highlighted it it was like, what's the offensive line turned and read their quarterback? And that was by design. He wasn't standing there not doing nothing. As if right. If he ran, he went and blocked the linebacker who was covering the back, Stogner going across the middle. And then they showed it again later on. Same deal. He's looking, and this time he threw it. And, so it was the offensive line, he's building them to do both. I think they're, again, smart guys. I mean, they're not big dummies like what, I was. Sure. I wasn't that big. I was
Terry.
I was vertically challenged. So,
well, and it kind of goes to show. I mean, and Nick Saban has even said it that after they played us in that Sugar Bowl where we beat them, I think that was one of the things that forced his hand to try to learn how to throw the ball more.
Yeah.
Because we took it to them in that game, and we lined up when we needed to and ran the football. And I think you've got to be able to do both.
Yeah.
In order to win, you can't line up like the old Nebraska teams and just smash people. And
yeah.
You can't just be an air raid like Mike Leach's teams. You got to have balance, and you've got to have the personnel to do it all. You've got to have. I mean, how many times do you hear that running backs got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield?
Yeah. And receivers have got to be able to block.
Right. Before now, in the last 10 years, you didn't hear that a whole lot.
Yeah.
You just didn't. So I think that, they're positioned very well. I mean, I don't know. I'm jaded just because, they're supposed to win the national championship so many times, according to the media in the last 20 years, but, they just haven't done it. And it's so damn hard to do it. I mean, I'm still spoiled as a Sooner fan. I could be a Jayhawk fan or a Mizzou fan or something like that.
Oklahoma State fan.
Yeah. Oh
watch
God.
your mouth, Terry. You watch your dirty pirate hooker mouth.
Thank God I'm not that.
Right? You'd have to wear orange for one, but
yeah, that's cruel and unusual.
No,
that is. Yeah.
And so, you think about it, we're spoiled as Sooner fans to begin with, but
that's right.
Even with the wealth of riches we have had over the last few years, we're positioned better now, I think, than we ever have been.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn into one of those teams that this is our year. Okay. Last year wasn't our year. This is our year. I don't want to be that. We need to.
We already are, Rob.
We need to pull it. Now listen, J-Rock.
Sorry to tell you, but I've got one of my really good friends. He calls us one of two things, depending on his mood. Either we are the Buffalo Bills of college football, or we are the Chicago Cubs.
No. We're not. No, we've won championships. It's just been a while. Here's me. I don't ask for much. Okay, all I want is like one championship every 4 years. You know what I mean? Right. That's maybe 6. But right. Now but with what Alabama and Clemson have done, it's ridiculous. And now you want to go, well, wait, when do we get to have 8 straight title runs? But
and I think a lot of it depends on how long you can keep this coaching staff together.
Yeah.
Honestly, because that's one of the things that doesn't matter who Saban has coaching with him. It seems like he
Yeah.
continues to get it done.
It's
But
because they cheat.
you look you look at what Dabo Swinney's done down there and down by the lake there north of Atlanta. They've had the same staff in place forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, our old
Defensive coordinator that we, cheered out of the, yeah, he's finally gone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and he's the number one defensive coordinator.
Yeah. And
in
the highest
football.
pay. And, he's happy with doing it. I don't think the guy they're paying him well.
Sure.
I don't think he wants to be a head coach. Why would he? He's playing in championships. He's getting bonuses.
Well, recruiting's easy because if you've ever been to, people don't realize it where we're from, but you look at where Clemson is geographically, you're like, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Atlanta?
Yeah.
You go right there into a recruiting hotbed, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. You don't have to go very far at all. You go to Clemson's campus. It's gorgeous. You're right next to a lake. You got all the money in the world. Why would you want to leave?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But, like I said, we have kind of become that this is our year. But one thing we are, for the last, 6, 7, 8 years, we are in the mix. And that's, as a true Sooner fan, I want to win every one of them. But, I want to be in the mix every year. And every year we have been in the mix. It's a rarity that Oklahoma in the last 20 years has taken themselves out of national championship contention talk. And that's the same way I am with my Steelers. I don't ask to win a championship every year. I just want to get in the playoffs, because when you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I just want to just get to the playoffs every year, and like this year, go undefeated and then lose 5 games straight and suck the rest of it. Ugh. But but go 10-0 and then fall apart. How does that happen? No, but as long as we're in the talk and in the mix, not the talk, because the talk doesn't matter, in the mix, I'm happy. People can call us Choklahoma all they want. You call us that because you're not there. You know what I mean? You Texas fans, Choklahoma. Well, you know what? Where have y'all been at the last 20 years?
Right, we're carrying y'all.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of daggum sacks of potatoes.
Right. I keep asking them what they're going to get us for Mother's Day. We've been carrying them.
But, it's true. You can say that all, and then they're all coming back with, oh, yeah, well, your answer is, that's always your answer. Or at least we were there. Well, yeah. You want to have the opportunity, every year. I want to be in the playoffs every year.
However, we wish we could pull one down.
Yeah.
Just occasionally would like to pull one down.
And to this point, I didn't feel good about the personnel we had or the coaching we had. I think we were missing on one or the other.
Yeah.
So if that answers any questions, because you still got to go out and execute.
Yeah.
I think you're positioned better with personnel and coaching now to challenge the Ohio States of the world, the Clemsons, the Alabamas than we ever have been.
Yeah. Well, see, and on a local radio show here, I think it was Teddy Lehman who brought it up the other day. And you when you said that about, the Joe, when you said about the personnel, do we have championship coaches? Is that the problem? We talked about Nick Saban. He's got a staff of guys who won championships. Who on Oklahoma staff has won a championship? Is that a problem? Do they just not know how to do it?
Well, I think to this point, you obviously had some issues at different positions.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think let me put it to you this way, and I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this, but if Bill Bedenbaugh, okay, is the offensive line coach for Oklahoma in 2003, in those early 2000s.
Yeah.
How many championships
True.
did he win?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that Bedenbaugh has won a whole lot of championships over his lifetime, but he's excellent.
Yeah.
I think that you've got to be able to teach kids how to play the game. You've got to teach the little things that take care of the big things. And before now, I didn't feel good about who we had teaching linebackers. I didn't feel good about who we had teaching the DBs. I didn't feel good about who we had teaching the D-line. Right?
Yeah.
You always felt good about the running backs because Coach Gundy was amazing. You always felt good about the quarterbacks because Heupel was doing that, and he was really good at developing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never felt really good about the offensive line until Biedenbow came along. And, you know, you always felt good about the receivers because Simmons could always get these guys to produce no matter what. So, you know, I mean, I don't know necessarily that they have to have that championship pedigree, but I think they have to know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Because kids know whether or not you know.
Oh, yeah.
Sure they do.
Well, see, Paul, you know, we brought this up before. Paul Miliazzo, who was the other linebacker on the other side of Brian Bosworth during the 80s, was on the podcast our first year. And he has said something that stuck with me, that the mid 80s teams, when he said, when we got over the mentality, this is not verbatim what he said, but basically we were Big 8 champions, Big 8 champions, Big 8 champions. When we put our mindset on, we need to be bigger than Big 8 champions, we need to win it all. And for 4 years, they could have won 4 championships. But it was, he said, that mentality, when it finally clicked in our heads, and what Coach Switzer even said was trying to get be better than the Big 8. We're kings of the Big 8, but you are more. And he said, when we got it in our heads and I think that's a lot of what. And it's not a knock on Stoops. You know, Stoops always has said, you know, our first goal is to win the Big 12. You know,
Right.
We're not going to talk about anything else unless we win the Big 12. I think that our team mentality has to be, we're bigger than the Big 12. You know, we're better, you know, and not better. Well, yeah, we are better than the Big 12 because, you know, what, 6 in a row now or whatever.
Sure.
But you know what I mean? It's like, it's time that we just don't accept being the Big 12 champion, you know, 9 straight years in a row, because I think it's going to be that after in another couple of years.
Definitely going to get 7 this year.
Yeah. But
better.
I think it's I think not just coaching staff, but team mentality is you have to understand that when you walk out on the field, that you're better than that team across the side, you know, the field from you. You know, and I think especially this past year's team didn't have that. They didn't know how to finish games, obviously, early in the season. That's why they lost to Iowa State and Kansas State. You know, they didn't have that mentality of choking them out, you know, because they had both those teams on the ropes and should have put them away. And that's been kind of Lincoln's MO. You know, he had Georgia knocked out. They were done until he squib kicked and came out, and in the second half.
And we couldn't tackle what's-his-face.
Well, but I mean, in the second half, we came out and went 3 and out. I mean, after we had scored every time we touched the football in the first half and went vanilla. And put it on our defense, who wasn't very good. But that's kind of been, you know what I mean? That's kind of been Riley's MO, is not finishing when you have them knocked out. You know.
Well, and to that point, you've got to be able to make a stop defensively.
Right.
Right. I mean, let's face it, you are not, no matter how good your offense is, you're not going to score every time you got the ball.
Yeah.
You're just not. And whether it was, you know, it's funny because you take the second half of the Alabama playoff game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you take the first half of the Georgia game and you put those together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But in neither case, you couldn't get a stop.
Yeah.
Even when you were scoring.
Yeah.
Right? That's the common denominator. So, I mean, you got 1 stop out of 10 or 2 stops out of 8 or how many ever it was. We just couldn't get a stop.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
can't.
then you posted that picture on Twitter after the Alabama game when we were shifted. Our whole defense was on the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was on the right side of the offensive line, and there was literally nobody on the left side.
Yeah.
And they just slowly walked into the end zone.
Yeah. It's you've got to be able to get people off the field, and up until probably week 5 last year, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And now when you go back and you talk about the mentality that Migliazzo was talking about, these kids have that mentality because you hear what Grinch said, after the spring game, talking about how, well, now we got to do it in the fall.
Yeah.
We didn't prove anything. We're better than we were, but can we produce on the weekends? And nobody likes working for that kind of manager, right?
Yeah.
Where, hell, I struggle with it now. I've got a manager that I work with, and no matter what we do, he's always on board. And it's like, God damn, can't we just enjoy the win for a minute? But that's what makes us great. And that's what makes you great. And that's the type of coach that you want to play for, because he's going to make you great. When you're in the heat of the moment and when you're out there and it's 110 degrees, and he's on your ass about one little thing or a false step or whatever it is, you hate his guts. But when you're hoisting the trophy, you love him.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a lot that goes into it, and you got to have everything rolled into one that makes it work. You've got to have the teaching, you got to have the scheme, you've got to have the motivation, you got to have the belief. And I'm sure there's a lot of other cliches I don't have, but you got to have them all or it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, if they have the mentality, I think they have the physical attributes to go along with it.
Absolutely.
No.
So I'm really looking forward to it, and I think we're going to be on both sides of the ball. I think we're going to be really solid.
Yeah, and I think too, we didn't see it in the spring game, and Riley can't give a lot away because the game was televised, and that Saban and his 25 special assistants and everybody else is out there breaking that down and trying to figure out what he's going to do, because you look for those obscure little details, that are going to tip something. And, Riley's got to conceal a lot of that, whether it be with personnel lineups and who's lined up where and what they're going to do where and all that. So I don't think we'll have a whole lot figured out really until probably about the Texas game next year, because it's always in the middle of the year.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, the spring game, the spring game is not, I don't think it's really for them to evaluate anymore. You know what I mean? It's a fan thing. This year, not as much as it's been because of COVID. But, Lincoln's first several years, first 2 years was let's pack the palace. That was the deal. We want to get 80,000 people to our spring game. You're not going to see anything in the spring game. I fell asleep. We talked about it last week. I fell asleep watching the spring game this year with 5 minutes left. I was sitting over there with my hand on my wrist.
Honestly, JY, I can't take him anywhere. It's just embarrassing.
You get to see something. Ooh, you see you see Caleb Williams' arm. You see him run. Man, he's a good runner. Over the back from Tennessee, Gray, when he made that cut. It was like, ooh, that's what you get to see. Yeah, they probably value, but I really think it's just more for the fans anymore. Everything they've done up until that point, they've done. You know what I mean? They've evaluated that game. I don't think it's for anything other than let's give the fans a show them what it is.
To this point, being a diehard Sooner fan and, watching every stick of Sooner football I could all the way back to when I got done playing college ball in 2000, I've never had the thought in my mind as I was watching them compete in the spring or the fall or whenever it was, thinking to myself, I don't know that they're going to face somebody as good as themselves.
Yeah.
And I had that thought watching them in the spring.
Oh, yeah. They're good.
And so you look at it, and everybody's concerned about Spencer Rattler and how he performed and all that. But the fact that our defense, think about that for a minute,
Yeah.
made him look pedestrian
Mm-hmm.
is something to hang your hat on.
Yeah, because we know how good he is. I mean, he's
Correct.
good. Spencer Rattler is good quarterback. Heisman
Absolutely.
contending quarterback.
And am I right? They went ones against ones and twos against twos. I mean, I know they flipped it up, but the first half it was pretty much ones against ones. It was best on best. It's the way I understood. Toby said it on the broadcast. They were going ones on ones and twos on twos. Now, how long they did that, I don't know, but I mean, and let's this style of defense is something that we haven't seen in years. A disruptive defensive line. Their job is to mess things up. We haven't had that in years.
Well, and across the Big 12, you don't have teams that have that type of personnel. You don't have teams that have legitimately 3 or 4 guys that can cover defensively.
Yeah.
So they've got to play this zone and be off the ball 5 yards, let you catch it and hope you make a mistake and then try to tackle you.
Yeah.
They can't play that pressure style of defense that Grinch plays and then ask all these guys to play man coverage on the outside. Nobody has that personnel.
Yeah. Well, one last thing before we get off here. What were your thoughts on Buki transferring out? Well, he really didn't I mean, he did. I mean, he graduated. He's got a degree from the University of Oklahoma. Graduate transfer. What'd you think? Good,
Well,
bad?
I mean, well, good for him. You wish the kid well. I think that he's been defensively. He's been the whipping boy
Yeah.
for the defense, like Swenson has for the offense.
Yeah.
So I mean, he got a lot of blame, but he made a lot of plays. The kid's all heart. He's like 5'0" nothing. He's playing a big.
No, he's
physical
5'10". It said that in the program.
Oh, is he? He's every bit of 5'8".
At least 5'6", at least.
So, the kid can play. He's going to Washington. They're a good team, and I think they're supposed to let him play corner up there. So I don't think he's going to be playing the nickel. But at any rate, I was a different school of thought when I was a player. I would have stayed, but the times are different.
Oh yeah, times are different.
Times are different, so I can't go with that thought process. But if you look at what Billy Bowman did in the spring game and Key Lawrence coming in,
I think that was, to me, and this is nothing derogatory. I just think you saw the writing on the wall. He didn't play as much last year as he did the first 2 years. And I just think he saw, I'm going to even be playing less. He was great. He was great for the university. He was a leader. He was a recruiter. He hasn't said anything bad about the University of Oklahoma, and I don't think he will.
he's a high character kid.
Yeah. He still looks like he's older than me. Sure. That is the oldest looking dude I'd ever seen in my life.
He looks that way.
Yeah, but the mistakes he made were always highlighted, and I look back on it. I was probably a little unfair on it, but it was so. They were always so obvious. You know what I mean? That the LSU, which wouldn't have made
he got
it.
burned a couple of times. It was ugly right on camera.
Yeah, where and I don't know that he would have done better at corner at Oklahoma, because I just think at 5 foot, because like you said, he is not 5'10". I've seen him in person. Okay, I am 5'9". Okay, and a half if I'm wearing my Nikes. Okay.
Are you different Reeboks?
Yeah. My Converse, but he's not as tall as I am.
Sure.
And and I get, and when you looked at him in his jersey, his numbers covered his whole back. Look at all the rest of the players on the field. It wasn't because 44 was a bigger number than everybody else's. It's because he was a smaller man, And
but you know what? He played big. You remember when he hit that tight end from, was it Kent State?
Yeah.
He didn't have any fear. He ran right into that brick wall. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it concussed him probably, but he still did it.
But he just made some mistakes that were so, like Rob said, they were broadcast. You know what I mean? And maybe it was because he was so highly touted, and he was the first 5-star defensive player we'd gotten in years. So I mean, he kind of came in under the 8 ball, or behind the 8 ball, not under it. But
Yeah, and
That's a short joke, isn't it? Man, Terry.
You look at what DJ Graham did last year, the second half of the year, and some of these young DBs as the season wore on. You know, if Trey Brown's still there this year, I mean, somebody's pushing him.
yeah,
You know, just the competition level has been ratcheted up at every position on the field.
well, Trey
I mean,
Brown had to leave because old boy from Texas is gone. You know, I mean,
Oh, that's right.
Eleanor.
Where did he go? Did he go to Minnesota or something?
Did they draft him or did he sign free agent?
I think he went. I don't know where he went, but if he's in the same division, I think that's funny.
No, wait. Are you saying that Ellingaher got drafted?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did he get
Yeah, he did. He got like 5th round or 6th round or something like that.
Eleanor? Let me find Sam Eleanor. I'm just glad we don't have to see his mom anymore, because every time he played,
Oh, it's the Colts. The Colts picked him up.
the Colts picked him up.
Yeah, and Trey Brown went to the Bears, didn't he, or something like that?
Yeah. Looking here.
No, Trey Brown went to the Seahawks. That's where he went.
Yeah, he was picked in the 6th round. See, I didn't pay attention. So, but yeah, Trey Brown still might pick him off in the pros.
that would be hilarious. Or sack
I'm
him.
sure he sees Trey Brown in his sleep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, hey, JY, I guess I think we've talked about everything that we can talk about. Well, I'm sure we could, if we had a couple of beers, we could probably sit here and talk all night. But, as always, we appreciate you sharing your genius with us, making us a little bit smarter every day. Are you going to start back the trench warfare, or anything like that?
Well, with the divorce and everything, I just kind of.
I did not know that.
No, you're good, and I'm just kind of focusing on my 6 soon to be 7/30-year-old son.
Yeah.
We're just having fun, and we're going across all these small towns in Kansas and Missouri trying to find trains, because that's what he loves. So.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Well, all right, but we look forward to your post, and we're gonna get you on again, especially during the year. Maybe we'll do some stuff.
Sure.
and
Well, hopefully we can get back to tailgating this year. And
oh, really? No kidding.
I'm planning on being down at the Nebraska game. I got a buddy of mine that was in the Air Force for 26 years, I believe it was. And so he's now going to University of Oklahoma to get his bachelor's and maybe more.
Ah, cool.
So we're going to go check out OU Nebraska this year.
Yeah, that'll be a major league ass whooping, but
I hope so.
It's been my argument that they're going to come in here and give us a game. Maybe
They
it's
are gonna
wishful
show
thinking, but
They are going to show up. I am nervous about that game.
really,
I am nervous that there is always one of those games, and there is, that's one of those games. Everybody's, it's going to be, it's going to be great wailing and gnashing of teeth. But it's, I'm nervous about it, man. I'm afraid that if we come out not ready to play, they're gonna come hit us in the mouth, because they're still Nebraska.
still Nebraska.
I'm
They're gonna
more.
come and give us a
I'm more worried about Kansas State than I am Nebraska.
I get worried about everybody.
Yeah, let's just say, yeah.
Until we're up about 3 scores in the second
Yeah.
quarter, I'm worried about everybody.
True. Yeah. but I'm anticipating a major league butt kicking. But
I hope you're right.
no. But
Because, there's a lot of those folks up here that wear those hats that have the "in for knowledge" on them.
in for knowledge, I like
For
that.
knowledge.
That's why they have the ends on their helmets, for knowledge.
All right, JY. Hey, man, we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon, buddy.